Okay, my name is Ryan. I'm 43 years old. I'm originally from Preble County, Ohio. I grew up in a small town of very small town in County called Camden. My childhood was fairly decent. I did have. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but there was some abuse from a stepdad, just physical abuse, and I watched a lot of chaos. There was addiction runs rampant in my family. Lots of alcoholics, lots of drug use. So my father died when I was only about 4 years old. He due to this disease. And then I was raised by my mother and my mother's parents, and life was good. I was really into sports. I got decent grades. I was a happy kid, but I always felt like there was something missing. I can't explain it. It might have been because I didn't have a father in my life. And when I did, it was a guy that was a complete monster. So he was I watched him hit my mom. He hit me, hit my sister. So my refuge was to my grandparents' house and sports. I love to play sports. I played football, baseball, wrestled, and I was pretty decent at it. Uh, my addiction, I can't really tell you when I started using drugs or alcohol. I do know the first time I got drunk, that obsession never went away, if that makes sense. So the first time I drank, I might not continue to drink over time, and I might go months, even years before the next use. But that I was always thinking about it from the first time on. And that obsession, which thank God had never went away until this time around. And it's because I'm finally working steps in recovery. I help give a lot to the place I'm at, the sober living I'm at, and I just feel like I'm doing it what was suggested of me for so long that I kind of was just wanted to do it Ryan's way. And I always would put, well, I don't need to do this. I don't need to get a sponsor. I don't really need to go to meetings. And come to find out, they were all right. That's crazy, but how that works. But they were all right. Because once I started doing that, I woke up. I can't tell you the day that that obsession went away, but I was thinking about this. It's funny that I'm doing this right now because I was thinking about it not too long ago. When I've had stressful times, the first thing I don't think is to go to getting high or using drugs or alcohol, which is for me that's a miracle because for so long that's the only way I ever handled stress. And when things got bad, or even when things got too good, I tell myself I need to celebrate or I deserved it. I'm real good about finding my self pity because I've had some sobriety in the past, but I had to realize that I was a lot of times maybe I wasn't doing it for the right reasons because after I had some sober time and nobody seemed to notice, I would get self pity for myself, and then this time around I'm doing it for myself finally. I'm just sick and tired of being beat down. The pain of this disease has taken so much from me. I could just go on and on for the things I've lost. I've got stuff back and then lost it. Got stuff back and lost it. I'm the guy that will get clean, stay clean a while, see the miracles in the just of staying clean, and then convince myself it's going to be different the next time. I'll convince myself that I can control it, or I'll convince myself that, well, maybe I can smoke a little bit of weed, or maybe I can just drink like normal people drink. And for me, it isn't normal because once I put that first one in, it's eventually. I always tell people alcohol. I was an alcoholic first, but I'm an alcoholic that turns into a drug addict real fast. So I'll drink, and it won't be long. I'll be doing something else till I eventually get to my drug of choice, which I guess I could probably go into. I started out with alcohol. I don't want. I'm not going to go into the war stories of it because we've all done the same stuff. But I started with alcohol. I was fairly controlled. I never really messed with anything hard. I remember thinking as a kid, you saw the the TV commercials about crack cocaine and heroin, and I always told myself I would never do those drugs, or that's just what you see in the movies. And so back to where I was playing sports. I played sports. I went to college. I continued to play sports as an adult. Tried to get into some wrestling, some fighting, cage fighting, and I had some injuries. And I never really liked anything more than just smoking weed and drinking. But so I got prescribed pain pills, and it's the common story. I got prescribed pain pills, and I took the pain pills for a while, and the next thing you know, I was hooked. But I didn't even realize that I was hooked because I was on them for a prescription for so long and doing what I was supposed to. And then, eventually I was supposed to get off of them, and I couldn't. So I was buying them on the street. And then it's the same old story that you hear all the time. Eventually it led me to stays in jail, a couple court ordered rehabs. And for me, those didn't work because I'd go in there and find different drugs to use for when I got out, or different connections to get the drugs when I got out. I wasn't trying to get better. Because I don't know if I even I'm 43 years old, and I don't even know if I admitted I probably had a problem until I was 35. I always thought I could control this thing. It's crazy. I would always substitute one thing for another, and that would be the answer, and then that would get out of control. I'll get out of control with anything, with money, with working, with girls. I mean, I can make anything healthy unhealthy real fast. It's crazy how that works. You know, exercising. It's just anything. So I'm super cautious of that. Yeah. I but so going back to the sports injury, I started doing pain pills. Couldn't find the pain pills, and finally, you've heard the stories. Somebody said, "Well, I can get you something, but it ain't what you want." And the next thing I know, I was a full blown heroin addict. And to me, even those words coming out of my mouth is is crazy to me. Because I didn't wasn't brought up. I never had goals of being a drug addict. Which nobody does. But I always had goals of being successful. As a kid, I thought I was going to be the next professional athlete. For me to think about, like I said, when I thought of heroin or anything strong like that, I was, you did that number, like, oh my God, no, I would never mess with heroin. Everything that I said I wouldn't end up doing, I ended up doing, because the addiction that I have, I can't speak for anybody else, but the disease that I have is extremely progressive. It goes from it went from just being able to drink a few beers to it just steamrolled, to trying the next thing. But it goes back to that obsession has never left me. It's crazy when I think about it. Like the obsession never went away, even when I was clean and sober. Um, it just never went away, and that's what this was great about how I have. I'll celebrate 14 months this month. So for me, that's about the longest I've ever had of continued sobriety. But also, I've never before this go round. I never worked steps. I never got a sponsor. I never really. I always had something to fall back on, and I never thought about going to sober living when I got out of treatment. You know, I've been to treatment many times, but always went home because I hadn't lost everything quite yet. And this time I really didn't have anything left because I'd burn all those bridges down. You know, I've lost family. I'm managing to get family back in my life, but they're nobody wanted to have anything to do with me because I just proven they'd heard the sorries and I'm gonna do it differently, and then I'd go back out. So it's just crazy to think about the journey that I've went on in the last 14 months because my life is completely different, and I'm just grateful for where I've came, the what I've the the changes I've made in my life. I don't think the same. I don't think about drugs and alcohol like I did. I mean, I'm not saying that all great days are great, but today, because I work a program, things are better for sure.